So let's start our webinar. So on FDEs, welcome to this webinar on FDE. So welcome future FDEs. So yeah, so myself Aneesh Sivan, so I'm an agentic AI solution architect at EY, and with me Fasil. Fasil is also an agentic solution architect at Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Uh, so we are also the authors of two leading industry guides. One is Enterprise Cloud Native Transformation, and another one is Mastering AI Agent Choreography. So these books you can find in Amazon, Flipkart. So before starting our session, so I need I don't think so if I am telling something and you all are hearing all these things, that actually is not a good idea. So we all are probably software engineers. I think most of you guys are working in this software industry. So I want to hear from you as well. So we can make it an interactive session. So tell me, how AI impacted your life in the last 1 or 2 years. Anybody? So you can share your experience in how AI has impacted your daily life, your work, your career, or anything. Please feel free to unmute and share your thoughts. Anyone? Because we are going to become an FTE. So FTE is not just like an software engineer, and a person who actually need more something more small kind of skills than a software engineer. So the rapid thinking or rapid prototyping or rapid response is one of the key skill of an FTE. So if you are going to become an FTE, probably this could be one of the skill. So you can say because we are less than 50 people, I believe. So we are all are probably in the same background. We can share your thoughts. I can share my thoughts. We can make it more interactive. No one need to speak about AI. So, are you okay? So say are you worried about this AI boom or something like that, or you are taking it as a positive thing?
It is a positive thing as it will provide more opportunity and more workplaces, I think.
Exactly. Thank you for your response. Yeah, Kushagra, right? Thank you very much. So
Yes,
you're absolutely right. AI bring us so much opportunities. Uh, so if you are thinking previously uh, so how AI is impact our daily life, nearly 1 or 2 years before. So in my experience, I start using this generative AI uh, as in a form of a application called a Quillboard. So probably this Quillboard is a paraphrasing tool. It actually helped me to redefine my sentences or rewrite my emails. So for that, I actually started using this Quillboard. So this is one of the earliest form of this chat GPT kind of thing. Then the chat GPT introduced, then we are trying to use chat GPT. Most of you guys are aware of how to interact with chat GPT and all those things. You created so much content, including text, videos, images, code, everything with not only chat GPT, with many other AI tools. So AI tools really affected our life, like how we are creating content, how we are writing email, how we are creating images. So recently, people are doing Gemini AI to create their images in different models. Like they can create posters, they can create cinematic images without using any kind of editing tool. So AI is you know redefining our images, text, and everything. So, in if you are thinking about the software practices, like uh, so AI is going to write code for us now. We are mostly familiar with the code writing LLM models like Codex, Claude, Opus, you know, and Google uh, code generating models. So many other models are creating code for us. So all these AI tools are impacted our daily life, the workday, and the career as well. So now we are just go to the chat GPT or Gemini AI and say, like, upload your resume and say, like, this is my resume. You can create a Europa CV from my resume, or create an ATS monthly resume from my current uploaded resume. It can, within minute, it can actually create that. So you can feel the change, right? So before going forward with this session, I just want to make sure that we all are in the same page, or we all are aligned with certain terms. Like in the coming 1 hour, I am going to speak about uh, so many things, and I use some kind of terminologies that are actually related to AI. So I just want to make sure that you guys can understand those terminologies. So let us do a small poll now, and you can just answer that poll, and just want to make sure that we all know, or we all are on the same page. uh Finish, you can you please launch the poll? You can open your meeting chat, and you can submit your vote. So the first question is, have you heard about LLM? Okay, so 100% of people heard about LLM. So next one, about transformers. Only 66%, 75 percentage of people, or 63. Only 58 percentage of people heard about transformers. Good. Now we heard about deep learning. 100% of people heard about deep learning. So please vote, everybody, please. Everybody heard about RAG. Excellent. Now we heard about vector DB. Nearly 75% of people heard about vector TV. Yeah. 100% of people heard about AI agents. Yeah, great. Yeah, people have heard about cloud. Yeah, only 10% of people heard about 8 to A, and 62% of people heard about MCP. Okay, fine. I got an idea about what kind of audience I have. Like it's actually not a beginners. People already know about AI. People already know how to use AI when they are using AI for their daily work or day-to-day practices. Yeah, great. Thank you, Vinesh, for the poll, and uh, welcome to for today's session, over deployed engineer webinar. Okay, so we already discussed how the AI is impacted our day-to-day life. So AI is impacted in our work, AI is impacted in our career life or all those things. The same kind of impact is happened in every business or almost all the business in the world. So that means this AI boom, this generative AI boom, made the organizations to rethink about their current delivery model. Imagine you have a e-commerce website, so you are the owner of that particular business, and your e-commerce customer handling is doing by nearly 20 people or 30 people. So there are customers calling for a complaint, and one of your executive will take the phone and attend and provide the resolution and doing something like that. So this isn't the normal fashion, and your e-commerce company is working basis on, I mean, handling customers in a manual way, in a phone, using phone call and creating tickets for the, manually creating tickets for the problems and resolving that, something like that. So say another person like, so Kushagra, he's actually started another e-commerce platform. So he's also selling the similar kind of products you have. But he implemented an AI chatbot in his business, and this chatbot actually handled the customer complaints. So that means if you are spending around 10,000 USD per month for your customer support, but Kushagra is using AI and he's spending nearly $1,000 or less than $1,000 for their customer handling, and this customer handling is more efficient uh, uh, than the manual one. So he can more focus on his business, and those kind of investment. I mean, the investment or the money he spent for the customer care on something like that can be spent to his actual business, and that business become grow day by day. At the same time, the manual operation business I mean, they may struggle if more sales means more complaints. More complaints means more customer care executives. So they are spending a significant amount of money for the customer care issue or customer care uh, department. So here, AI is created a value for one organization, and the other organization is struggling to do their business and struggling to compete the business with an AI native organization. So that means an organization who is actually adopting AI for improving or running their business is called an AI native organization or an AI adopted organization. Okay, tell me if an organization want to adopt AI and organization want to utilize AI for their business, what kind of people they are looking for to onboard as their employees? People with traditional software skills or traditional management skill, or people with management skill plus AI skills? What kind of people they are expecting? Give a thumbs up
People with
for AI
many
and thumbs down for yeah, definitely. So Kushagra says like people with AI plus software management or AI plus business people. So any other answers? If you all are agree with the Kushagra's approach or Kushagra's answer, please give a thumbs up. Yes, great, super. So FD moving very fast into AI. So not only AI automation, cloud native systems, data platforms, and intelligent applications. But of course, there is a gap. Business teams know they need AI automation, but they often cannot clearly explain what they exactly need. So, as our previous example, so I have an e-commerce organization, and Kushagra has an e-commerce organization with AI enabled. I also need that kind of capability, but I don't know where to start and how I can actually enable AI in my organization. So if you want to build a software, so you probably you have all the requirements in your hand. You probably pass that requirement to a subject matter expert or an SME, and that SME probably connected to an AI solution not AI. That person probably connect to a software solution architect and explain, okay, this is my requirement. Can you create an architecture for this one? And then create a logical architecture, then a technical architecture, then engage a software team, and then working on that. So that is a normal software development approach. But when we come to AI, the requirement itself is not clear. That's a one issue. So business teams know they need AI and automation, but they cannot clearly explain what exactly they need. Traditional engineering teams can be build strong systems, but they usually need clear requirements, product backlog, sprint planning, and long delivery cycle. So who actually going to fill this gap? Who actually going to communicate to the business like, these are the AI things you guys need, and who are going to communicate to the technical people? Okay, this is AI requirement from the organization. You can build a solution based on this requirement. So that exactly is a forward deployed engineer. So before that, after this session, mm, what you will walk away with, or what are your takeaways? The FDE role defined, you will be clear understanding on what FDE is, and a very clear understanding on a forward deployed engineer versus a traditional software engineer. And field pipeline scenarios, field pipeline, like these are two business scenarios I just want to discuss with you. We have Fasil, who is actually expert in designing AI systems. So he can actually explain the practical use cases of this forward deployed engineer and the technology stack and the core transition roadmap. So all these things we are going to discuss in the next few minutes. Okay. So let's go bit history, origin of the FDE role. So this role, uh, traditional enterprises delivery frameworks are very slow. The distance between those writing microservices and customer actual workflow was too vast. So that means, like, so previously, I mean, I don't know, you were aware of the waterfall model where the software products are developed using waterfall model nearly 10 or 15 years before. So like we can gather the requirement from the customer and freeze that requirement and start building application. And after 1 year or something, we can call the customer and say like, okay, so this is a solution we built. You gave the requirement 1 year before, and now we are complete developing this solution using this waterfall model. So the customer, okay, so this looks good, but this is not relevant for this year. Like this is, I mean, the things are changed very much. I don't want this solution, or I need to change this solution in a different way. So for accepting all these kind of intermediate requirements and all those things, we actually introduced to a process called Agile, where we can actually, uh, we can actually include the stakeholder also in our planning and development uh, meetings, and they can also suggest the changes on the fly. Okay, so we are not actually freezing the requirement, but we can actually take the requirement from the customer at any point of the software development life cycle and incorporate that and create the software. So that's actually a big change in the software development field. I hope you all are aware of that. Say a thumbs up if you are already familiar with the agile practices. Okay. So after agile, once AI is in place, like we cannot actually claim to the customer like we need 6 months or 1 year to do this feature, to enable this feature, or add this feature to the application, because the customer is also aware of like how AI can create the code, how AI can help to grow business in a rapid fashion. So customer is thinking like I need the solution in the next 2 weeks. And when we are going with a traditional flow, at we can actually calculate it can be delivered in 2 months. So there is a huge gap between this 2 week and 2 month timeline. So traditional model bottleneck is the enterprise sales cycle, business analysis process, product feature backlog. But FTE, what FTE is actually doing? FTE is doing the direct deployment. Direct deployment in the sense FD is not waiting for all the long processes. FD is doing things very quickly. So I'll explain how FDs can do that. So now, after 2 to 4 slides, we get an answer. What exactly an FDE? The core equation is a technical professional who works close to the customer to understand their real problems, build working software rapidly, and deliver measurable business value. So that means for an FDE, there is no administrative layers. So what exactly an administrative layer? So if we have a software and that software need to be, I mean, customer want to add a new feature like a chatbot or some kind of new feature to the application. And normally this feature is added to the backlog, and based on the team's priority, that you know feature is added to the sprint, and probably team need to work on that. In the meantime, they need to get approval from the security team. They need to get approval from some other teams, and sometimes the actual development and deployment may cost less than 1 week or 2 week, but the entire process may take 1 or 2 months. So that exactly the bottleneck in every organization that actually follow the traditional software practices. You all know, like every software products as a part of 3 points. One is the people, technology, and process. So people is capable of doing or developing the software. Technology is exactly what we are using to develop the software. Like, is it a .NET or it's a Python, or it's AI enabled, or it's a cloud-based applications, or anything that comes under those categories of technology. And the other one is a process. Process means how many. administrative blocks are involved in this process, how many teams are involved, how many people are involved, or how many departments are involved. So in a smaller organization or in a startup, they can actually easily deploy a software 1 or 2 days after developing that. But in an organization like EY or CBA, we cannot actually do that. So actual development can be completed in 1 or 2 days, but the actual deployment may take weeks or months because of the administrative layers. So now the question is like, is organization really want to skip these administrative layers? Okay, that's exactly the FDE mindset. So the FDE mindset is not only for the FDEs, but also for the organization. So if an organization want to use an FDE, the organization is also thinking like, our organization is also make a clear understanding about how an FDE should work. Okay. So the second point is a consistent discovery. Discover actual bottlenecks in the hidden beneath generic client buzzwords. So client is like say like I need AI. So an FTE is capable of understanding what kind of AI is needed for that particular customer and how that AI can solve his problem. And if you find like okay, the uh, customer need a document intelligence solution, so then the next thing is like rapid prototyping. So skip long architectural white papers, write functions, APIs, pilots, and interfaces. Just use any kind of AI or code generating tools like Copilot or Claude Cowork or something like that, and create a top prototype within an hour or within a day, and submit to the customer like okay, so these are the first prototype of your solution. Can you please look into that and provide your suggestions? So if customer agrees, okay, that's good, you can go, or that means we can go with that. Then the third part or fourth part is deploy and handoff. Everything is doing very fast. So you guys are probably here of the delivery apps like Blinkit, Zepto, those kind of things, right? So before that, Blinkit or Zepto, so we are for purchasing something like purchasing some grocery or purchasing something, so we need to find a time for that because we are working from Monday to Friday, and for buying some grocery or something like that, we need to find a time on Saturday or sometime in the weekend, and we have to go to a mall and spend some time for purchasing the things, and even it is a very small thing like salt or something like that, we have to go to the supermarket and purchase that by spending our time. But once these Blinkit and Zepto, those kind of people are in place, so we can just use our phone and give an order. They guys will deliver the things to our doorstep. And here we know how Zepto is work, and Zepto is also know what exactly the people need. In the same way, organizations uh, is also rethinking like what they actually need, and the people or the skills like FDE is built to satisfy those kind of customer needs. Here, okay. So I'll give more something more about the FDE. So an FDE is not just a developer. So one of the greatest misunderstanding in once we heard the word FDE. So many people ask to me like an FDE is a person who know how. I mean, person or a developer or a software engineer who know how to use AI. Is that the real definition of an FDE? No, definitely not. So using AI is one of the FD skill, But FD is not that kind of a person or that kind of a role. FD is not just a developer, and FD is not just a consultant. FD is not just a solution architect. An FD combines all the three dimensions: engineering depth, client facing communication, fast problem solving, and also some kind of soft skills as well. So next we actually are going to tell about this FTE mindset. What exactly the an FTE mindset is. So traditional software engineers are typically specification driven. An FTE must entirely outcome driven, prioritizing user relief and pilot velocity over complete abstraction architecture pattern. So what exactly is that? The traditional developer may think, give me a ticket, give me an acceptance criteria, and I will implement it. You know that, right? So most of our, I mean, are you guys familiar with these kind of software development processes? I hope you all are familiar with that, like the Scrum and how a software engineer is doing things. So, so you can very much relate to this. Like a traditional developer always say like give me the ticket or give me the acceptance criteria, give me the requirement, I will implement it. And how much time you need? I need 2 or 3 days, something like that. I get it. But an FDE thing, let me understand the business pain, identify the fastest path to the value, build something useful, and validate with users and improve it quickly. That means FDE is take the full ownership of the customer impact of this particular issue, not just implementing a solution. So you can clearly understand once we discuss the use cases of uh, this FDE or the practical scenarios of where the FDEs are right to fit. So there you will get a clear idea about what the FDE mindset is. So there are four important mindset shifts. One is ownership over tickets. That means an FDE owns the outcome, not just assigned task. So that means if the customer says like, uh, this dashboard is not working. So customer raise a complaint like the dashboard is not working. So a business analyst or a tester or someone who actually understand or an SME analyze like, how this dashboard is not working and actually call the technical team and they analyze the things and finally they create a ticket and probably they find the problem and assign a developer and create a task like fix the database issue to solve that dashboard problem. And the developer only worried about he can actually complete the assigned task in an hour or two. He never worried about what exactly the customer facing and how what impact the dashboard issue can cause. So but the FTE is different. An FTE owns the outcome, not just the assigned task. If the client's data pipeline is broken, the FTE does not say like that's not my ticket. The FTE says like what is blocking value and how we fix it. The second is client empathy. The FTE must understand the user's pressure. Maybe the operations manager has a report due tomorrow. Maybe a finance team is manually creating hundreds of invoices. Maybe the sales team cannot find the right customer information. FD understand the pain. It means FD should understand the pain of what exactly blocking the value or what exactly blocking the outcome. So it's a kind of responsibility, right? So previously, as a developer, I have only the responsibility of completing my assigned task. But as an FDE, my responsibility is to provide a value to the organization and identify what all values are blocking uh, to deliver a feature or deliver a value to customer. So, okay, so that's exactly the client empathy. And the third one is shipping is a feature. A perfect system that never reaches the user has no value. An FTE believes in shipping something useful, collecting feedback, and improving it. Like we are spending a month time by adding more and more feature to a particular solution or particular software feature, and we are not delivering that. So I have a real life example, like, I'm not going to tell the organization name. So one organization, they are actually spent a lot of money and a lot of effort on translating. So they find, like, Google Translate is not enough to translate all kind of languages or all kind of business scenarios. So they actually create an organization, and they are building their own AI, AI thing, AI model. So it's nearly 4 to 5 years before they build their own AI model, and they actually use real people for handling the translation errors and all. So the company was a success, but once this generative AI is comes to the picture, so generative AI can do the translation much better than that organization can do. So the problem is, like, they already aware of this generative AI boom and all those things, but they are not willing. I mean, they trust their process only, and they are not willing to adopt generative AI into their products, and they are not willing to, you know, uh, provide this. I mean, use this AI to improve their application. So as a result, they need to shut down their entire process and shut down their entire company due to this AI thing. So if they can actually ship the generative AI based solution at the earliest, so that actually probably add more value to the organization, and the organization can reach more heights, right? So delay in shipping or delay in adopting the technology may cause, a large impact in the business. So so an FTE believes shipping is something useful, collecting feedback and improving it. So if you are doing something and not shipping, that has no value. Okay. The fourth reason is a bias for action. FTE do not wait endlessly for the perfect or clarity. The clarity just enough, build just enough, and validate quickly. So FTE is not wait for all the card to play. FTE is play with the card they already have, and they might, the things might get fail. I mean, the things might get failed. Then they actually learn from the failure and do the prototype again. And all these things will happen in a week or two. It will not actually take months or years. So this is why FTE is becoming very important in AI native companies. AI projects are especially need rapid experimentation. You cannot spend 6 months only discussing an AI use case. You need to prototype, test, and refine. Clear? Okay. So the next thing is like FTE versus traditional software engineer. Okay. So now we will compare the forward deployed engineer with the traditional software engineer. This comparison is important because many people misunderstand the role. I already told you, like, someone think an FT is just a developer who travels to client location. That is not correct. Someone think like FT is just a pre-sales engineer who can also use AI. That's not correct. Some people think like FT is a consultant who gives advices. Is that an FT? An FT is a builder who built inside the client problem context. FT is an architect. FT is a software engineer. FT is a front-end developer. We cannot say all these things are correct, but FT is a combination of all these things. So FT's role, I mean, in a single word, like FT is a person who can help business to provide a value in a very fast manner. So here you can see, I mean, I hope everyone can see my screen. So here you can treat like, traditional software engineer, difference between the traditional software engineer and FTE. So if you are clear about, what is an FTE or what is a traditional software engineer, then you can actually find that, what are things I need to learn to become an FTE. So in a work context, the structured spectrum teams predefined specs are the part of a traditional software engineer, but a forward deployed engineer is embedded with client high operational ambiguity. So FDs always work very closely with the customer or a client. So if you are thinking about the core metric goal, build code-based architecture from product tickets is a role. I mean, is a way of software engineer, but FD solves the customer pain and drive measurable value. Deep ownership over single microservice is a code space scope of a software engineer. Both T-shaped APIs, DBs, all models, AI models, UI kits, all are the responsibility of an FDE. Okay, so think about you own a company and there are only few employees, like one or two employees. What are things you will do for your company? Those activities are more close to an FDE role. You're always worried about creating the revenue. You're always worried about the production. You're always worried about how to do things more efficiently and decrease the cost of production and increase the throughput, those kind of things. You also are worried about the quality of the product you are delivering to the customer. So an FD is a kind of person. Why organizations demand those kind of people? So that means the business owners can focus on their real business problems where FDE can handle the rest of the things. So the success metrics, delivery velocity, all those things you can read from here. So rapid 48-hour MEPs, active feedback cycles, those are the part of forward deployed engineer. So from the last 20 to 30 minutes, we discussed about the safety thing. So we are concluding to the core differences. Traditional software paradigm build structural systems, clean classes, database based on known predefined structured backlog. But a forward deployed paradigm discovers a raw operational constraint, construct the solution prototype, complaints, complaints resources, and prove actual value. So now we can go to a scenario, like a real scenario where we need an FDE. So imagine we have an organization, and so that organization is probably a financial organization, and there is a client data pipeline. So one day, A client call us and say like, our daily sales dashboard is showing wrong numbers. So the leadership meeting is tomorrow morning. He's actually says like, the client call us in the morning. I mean, that's a terrible situation. Like, so they said like, the dashboard is showing some kind of error. The leadership meeting is tomorrow morning. The data team says the pipeline is failing, but they are not sure where. So team know like the pipeline is failing, but they are not aware of, where exactly this pipeline is failing. So imagine this scenario. Anyone can say like, what we actually do in a traditional software development paradigm, or in our normal work life, how we actually solve this problem. The first thing is raising an incident, right? Probably, I mean, different organizations have different plans, but in an overall way, like, create a production bug or create a service now ticket or create an incident is the first step, because this issue is reported by customer or client, not the testing team, right? So the first thing is like, creating an incident or a ticket and assigning that to the data team. And data team probably check the logs and all. And, they probably need the log. I mean, if they don't have access to the log, they are actually create another ticket for, the production team to get the logs. And they probably wait for the logs and scheduling the discussion and then planning a fix. Once they actually identify the fix, they actually call the engineering team or the technical team and says like, there is an issue, so you need to assign someone to fix this issue. And probably there will be in some organizations there is a called CCB, that means change control board. So we need to submit an impact report to the change control board. That means once we fix this issue in this particular way, what are the impact in other areas, those kind of things. So CCP need to approve this fix, and this should actually take the whole process should take at least 2 or 3 days. But the client have a demo tomorrow. So it's a critical situation, right? So we can think like, how does an FTE handle it? The first step is understand the business impact. So FTE asks like, what decision depend on this dashboard? Which numbers are wrong? When did this issue start? Okay. So like ask to the business like, what decision depend on this dashboard? So if you are going to present this dashboard, what are the business impact? And if you are not going to present this dashboard, what are the business impact? If the business says like this is not critical, we can probably hide this from tomorrow's meeting, and we can proceed with the other things. This is not this value or change in this value doesn't make any sense or doesn't make any impact. Probably you will get more time to understand this issue and fix that. If that issue doesn't make any problem to the organization or the customer, then FD can take a decision from there itself. Okay, so he can understand the problem, but no need to take any action at this point, but need to do an investigation that where exactly the application is failing. At the same time, it is a critical thing. The FD can ask like, which numbers are wrong, when did this issue start, which systems are involved, is this a reporting issue, transformation issue, or a source data issue? So issues we can actually categorize into three different ways. Like, if the value changed in database, we can say it's a source data issue. If value change in the calculation, we can say a transformation issue. If value changes in the reporting, we can say a reporting issue, right? So every uh, problem or every production issue we can actually solve in this way, right? So once the FDE asks these questions, step two is inspect the pipeline. The FDE checks the logs, database tables, API responses, cron jobs. So the difference is like it actually not going to transfer the things or create the ticket to anyone, but rather this FDE itself going to look in the code or in the logs or somewhere. He can actually get the details about this issue. The FD checks the database tables, API responses, cron jobs, ETL script, and recent schema changes. He's also aware of what all things changed in the recent release. Step three is isolate the failure. Maybe the source API changed the field name, maybe the data format changed, maybe the duplicate records entered in the warehouse or the database. Maybe a transformation query is filtering out valid records. So anyway, so need to find the issue. Okay, so after you find that this issue is in the database, so what's the next thing? Step four: build a quick fix. No need to wait for others. No need to wait for the data team for to do that. Build a quick fix. The FD may write a Python script to correct the SQL transformation, update the DB, and do a validation check. Create a temporary constellation report. And it's not fixing the issue and vanishing nowhere, but FDE is document what exactly is happening and what kind of fix are applied. Is that a permanent fix or a temporary fix? All kind of things will be available in that particular report, and that report is shared with the leadership as well as the development team. And the final step is to validate to the stakeholder. The FDE does not simply say like the code is fixed, but the FDE asks the business user to validate the dashboard numbers and make sure that now the dashboard is reflecting with actual numbers or the real numbers. And the final step is the document and handoff. FDE write the short incident summary, root case, fix applied, and preventive action. This is FDE style, and it will not take 1 or 2 weeks or 1 or 2 days. It only take a couple of hours or maximum 2 to 4 hours. Okay. So why FTE role is so much important in in this era? These kind of things can be do in previous also, right? In couple of years before also we can do these kind of FTE, create these kind of FTEs and do the things. But why the FTE roles are more popular in this time or these few years? Because the thing is like these rapid kind of things, the analysis, the understanding of things, validating the logs, applying fixes, all these things we can actually take help of AI or AI tools. That means AI makes all these things faster and better, because you know searching in a 10,000 line of log and identifying the issue and creating a fix for that issue will take time. We already know that. But with the help of AI, we can do it in minutes. That's why the FDE role is more important and more relevant from the last, not 2 years, not 2 years. I can say like from the last 1 year or 6 months. Okay. So, so solving the client data pipeline crisis, we already discussed this. And next thing is like, uh, how FDE can handle a non-technical stakeholder or AI feature for a non-technical stakeholder, or how FDE can handle a business problem. Fasil, can you explain that?
Yes, yes, yes. Am I audible?
Yes, Fasil. Yeah.
Uh, okay, all right. So, I think you got on a high level idea, what the FP is. So, what are their responsibilities? What are the characteristics that they wanted, right? So, let me go through one another example. So, So suppose we have a client, and the client is just saying that okay, we wanted to implement AI in our business applications. So normally, what we will do, so if there is a product manager, project manager, or someone, so this kind of a people will getting into that, and they will do some kind of what to say requirement gathering. They will connect with their different persons, different different departments. You know, uh, all these kind of things will happen, right? Am I right? In the real world scenario, are you agreeing with this? Just a thumbs up or something. Okay, I hope. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, so as Anish explained, this FD is having a different kind of a mindset. Okay. So these guys will always think about in, the customer perspective. So, he wanted to get into the real problem as early as possible. So if the FD is getting into this particular, scenario, so he will ask, to the team, so, we wanted to implement AI means is nothing but we wanted to, reduce some manual efforts. So that's why we are actually implementing some kind of AI, right? So reducing the manual effort, giving, better outcome for the end user, all these kind of a things is actually behind implementing an AI or enhancing this AI capability into a business application. So as an FTE, what he will do is, he will get into the right problem. Okay. So by, asking this question, something like this, where is the manual effort, highest, and which team is spending the time on, searching, reading, copying, checking, and summarizing this kind of information, and what decisions are delayed because of the information is hard to access. All these kind of a things. Question will be, raised by these FTEs. So normal, if a technical persons are actually involving in, they will look for the models, tools, licenses, and platform initiations. So those kind of a things. But as an FDE, they will look into the real problem and find it out the real problem as early as possible. Okay, so and getting into the right problem, if the client is actually providing a lot of information by using AI, you can get into the right problem as early as possible. And the next thing is what this AI, FDEs can do is they will, formulate the solution for that to that specific problem, and they build, a prototype to demonstrate how it is actually going to work. Okay, and so most of the times clients will not have much idea on how this AI is going to work and what will be the output, what will the ROI, all these kind of a things. But an FDE, you will focus on the problems and what is the ROI and what are the the real benefits that the client is getting out of it, you know, and all these kind of things will take care while defining the prototype. So through that prototype, he can explain how it is going to be impacted, right? So the responsibility of these FTE persons to build that prototype also, right? So as a person, as an FTE, he has to look into the real problem. He has to find it out the solution, and he has to build the solution. And he has to present the solution to the client. So on a high level, we can call it as it's a one man army. So one man army with a lot of AI tools, right? So we can define this person in that particular manner, actually. And if person is getting into this particular problem, he will identify the problem where it is, and he build the prototype on top of that, and he'll present those prototype to the client, and and that actually if that actually solves the problems, then the team can enhance that prototype into the next level. So in this particular manner, it is going to be work. So the thing is, everything is happening in very quick time. So how it is going to be, make it happen is nothing because of by using AI tools. So an FDE should be able to use all this kind of AI tools to make to make it faster, and he has to have a kind of business analytical skill set that also can be do with the help of AI. And the specific thing is you want to have a different kind of skill sets. That the one is the major thing is the mind, and another one is you have some kind of a skill set to think in perspective of the client, and he have all this kind of a skill set specifically in technology. So he has to think, he has the capability to think in technical perspective how we can solve this problem, and he should have the capability to build that solution in a very quick time. It may not be the complete solution, but as a prototype he has to build. Hello, over to you, Anish.
Thanks, Fasil.
Okay.
So, so next we are actually going to discuss like, who hires forward deployed engineers. It's almost all, I mean, so there is no restrictions like no onwards, like from the last 1 year to 6 months to 1 year. So many organizations are looking for forward engineers, forward deployed engineers, AI startups, enterprise SaaS, defense tech, consulting. So many companies or so many different verticals are looking to hire these forward deployed engineers. So now you know why they are looking for a forward deployed engineers. And the other question, probably the most important question in this session, like can a software engineer become an FTE? Absolutely. Software engineers already have a strong technical foundation by learning how to manage client relationship, scope messy problems, and deploy rapidly under ambiguity. They make excellent FTEs. So a traditional software engineers can transition into an FTE role, but they must have some additional kind of skills. We can see the skills here. They already have the coding ability. That's a strong foundation. But become an FDE, they must improve in 5 areas. First, the communication and business stakeholders. So that means communication with business stakeholders, rapid problem solving, solution architecture under ambiguity, AI, data and cloud integration, then a demo, deployment, and handoff skills. So you can see all these things here. The biggest shift is moving from I build what I assign to I own the client outcome. So I already discussed these things like FD is a person who actually always think about the client perspective. So imagine that a software engineer is spending a day or two and write so many lines of code and create a solution. And that solution is not actually a valid or valuable solution for a customer. Then is there any point spending this much time? No, right? So FDE is make sure that no one's time is getting wasted because he is always thinking about the customer's perspective. So the forward deployed engineer skill stack. Obviously, coding is one of the major thing there. Python, TypeScript, Node, or any kind of programming language. You already know about that. Front end. Front end is not a mandatory thing, but basic front end knowledge is important. And another one is data engineering thing. Third one is, and the most important one is AI tech. So in our poll, so many people say it's like they don't know about the RAG. vector database, prompt engineering, those kind of things. So uh, learning all these things are very important. So if you don't know about all these things, there are probably some kind of sessions or training programs you can attend that uh, to get more familiar on that. Then cloud, Docker, CI/CD, because AI is mostly rely on cloud. Without cloud, AI cannot actually exist. So understanding the cloud is also important. And the third one, or the last one, is the software discovery workshops, demos, alignment, documentation. So the main thing is like, the first and most important thing is like, create an FTE mindset and learn all these things and fill your gaps. Spend time for your learning and invest in your skills. So that means if you are spending at least 50,000 or 1 lakh for improving your skills and make you future ready is definitely not a loss for you. It's definitely an investment. Like you are investing in FTs, you are investing in SAP, those kind of things. At the same time, you can invest on your skills as well. So there will be some kind of courses. Probably the team will explain that. So we actually conclude this by saying, like, the future does not only belongs to engineers who can write code. It belongs to engineers who can understand business problems, use technology intelligently to build fast, communicate clearly, and deliver outcomes.